Good afternoon to you. Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com here. It is now June the 1st, 2024. Hurricane season 2024 begins. Great to have you along with me in today's update. We have a lot to talk about, especially for those of you that might be brand new to watching my videos. Maybe this is your very first time seeing this face and hearing my voice. Welcome. Glad to have you. And even if you're relatively new, I want to make sure you know, who am I dealing with here? Who is this guy? And why should I trust what he says? I'll try my best to explain that to you as we take a look at what's ahead for the 2024 Atlantic hurricane season. Definitely one of the more aggressive forecasts that we have seen from all of the different agencies, private, government, and otherwise. A very robust 183 plus days, probably more than that. I think this is going to go right on through the end of the year. Hurricane season is probably going to be 7 months this year. We shall see. But yeah, a lot to talk about, a lot to explain to you to make sure we are ready to go on this journey together. And that's what I'm framing the next 6 to 7 months up as, teeing this up as a journey with us going together as a community. And I'm very proud of the fact that we have built a community over the last almost 30 years that I've been doing this on YouTube since 2006, the website since 1999. Yeah, it's been a long time, so I'm very proud of what we've accomplished. I might be the face of it, and that's great, but it's a lot of you all, too, that helped to make this happen. So, welcome. Here we go. The clock starts now, so let's get on with it. First of all, from our friend Howard in Bermuda, he made this nice map where we can look at the points of origin in different 10-day time frames. So let's just look at June 1st to the 10th, going back to 1851. This is where climatology says activity has happened in the past. This is the next 10 days, and this is the final third of June. So as you can see, June can be fairly active in the Atlantic Basin, even some activity far out in the main development region, as we call it. A lot of activity over those years in the southeastern Pacific. And then for the Atlantic Basin concerns, by far the greatest concentration is right in here that I'm outlining in blue. So that's where we will be watching over the coming 30 days. Let's just take all of this a month at a time. Let's deal with June 1st, literally on June 1st, and then we will go from there. But this is what we have seen over the years, and we'll see what happens. We have a lot to watch as we go forward. All right? National Hurricane Center is our main source of almost all official information, at least on the broad scale. Then we drill down and look at National Weather Service offices, local offices for things like hurricane local statements, and so forth. We will get to that when the time comes. The Atlantic's nice and quiet for now. Nothing over the next week. In the Eastern Pacific, low chance of something developing. And look, that fits right in what I was showing you over here. But this has a low chance of development. And usually when the Pacific is down, the Atlantic is up, and all expectations are that we will have a down season over here. But that doesn't mean we won't have impacts. You can get something developing and coming up and hitting Mexico from all kinds of angles. And you certainly remember Otis last year. That was devastating. And maybe even those one or two that try to come up towards the Baja and points north and west from there. A down season doesn't mean a zero season. The chances are not zero. They're just lower. All right, so a lot has been made of the forecasts, plural, lots of forecasts for the upcoming hurricane season, which we are now in. And a lot of that is based on sea surface temperatures and anomalies, departures from normal. And I think it's really important to understand where we are starting from. What are the fingerprints, if you will, in the past that helps us to see what could happen in the future? This is not just random overall. Individual storms, seeing those develop way out ahead of time. No, we can't do that yet. But we can see patterns in the past that gave us busy seasons and see where they are analogous to where we might be now. We call those analogues, in a very simple way of explaining it. So, 05, a historic season, 28 named storms that gave us Katrina, Rita, Wilma, amongst others. Of course, what was it? Emily, that went into the Yucatan, passing the Cayman Islands before that. We remember 05, very devastating season. So this is what the sea surface temperature anomalies map looked like on May 31st, 2005. All right, we don't have a June 1st map yet because they're always a day late. Not late, but later from this particular product. We used to call this the NOAA NESDIS, but anyway, This is May 31st, 19 years ago. That's hard to believe, but it's true. This is May 31st, 2017. You remember that year? All right, certainly you do. In fact, the irony is we went from 05 to 17 without a major hurricane hitting the United States, a Category 3 or higher. We certainly had major impacts. 2008, we had Ike over here. 2011, we had Irene that came up the coast. That was pretty devastating overall. And then certainly 2012, we had Sandy that came in and did that weird thing. And that was major in terms of impacts. But Category 3 or higher, we went from Wilma all the way up until 2017 with Harvey. In between, we had none in terms of Cat 3, 4s, and 5s. So just keep that in mind. So there's 2017's anomalies. This is 2020, 4 years ago today or yesterday. This is what the sea surface temperature anomalies look like. And by this time, 4 years ago, we were being told by the different agencies and different people who we should listen to about this stuff. Oh, we're probably going to have a very busy 2020 hurricane season. And we did. We had 30 named storms that year. A lot of sort of, quote, junk storms. So we had a lot of them, but not a high ACE. I mean, it was high enough, like 180 something, the accumulated cyclone energy, the quality of the storms. But we had Laura, we had Sally, we had Zeta, Eta, Delta, and Ophelia. Was that year? Doesn't matter. I mean, it does. But and we had Isaias right in my backyard here in North Carolina. Can't remember if Ophelia was 05, or 2020. I know we had one in 05. A lot to keep up with. But point is, 2020 was very, very busy, 30 named storms, and it was forecast to be a very busy year, and it set the record for the numbers of named storms. So again, there's 05, 17, 2020, and this is what it looks like now. All right? So it's not even close. It's not even close. We are so far ahead of where we were in these other big years that we don't really know exactly what's going to happen. I've been talking to some colleagues about it, that there really isn't a good analog for this, because this is the warmest we have ever seen it in these areas collectively, the Gulf, the Caribbean, and the main development region, right through here, the MDR as we call it, and we don't really know. There's not much precedence to go on. And so we have to absolutely be ready, whatever that means for us as individuals, as communities, and as a country, and other countries in the Atlantic Basin as well, whether that be the islands of the Caribbean and even across the big pond, as they say, to our friends in Europe. Why? Because some of these systems can curve and go up here and go over there and even hit the Iberian Peninsula. We could have a busy enough season that we truly have widespread societal impacts. Now, I try to be very balanced and not to sort of invite the term fear-mongering. People love to throw that out there. And I would love to sit down with those people one day and have the expression, a cup of coffee. I don't drink coffee, but you know what I'm saying. Get to know them. Why do you think that? Is it something that I did? Is it more something of your experiences? Because this is frightening when you deal with a major hurricane. It's a scary situation. It is. And we have to just be ready and have it up here that it's coming. And if people want to bury their head and ignore it and say that it's just a bunch of hooey, or that they always say that, there's not much that anybody like me can do for those folks. There's just not. We're not going to be able to convince them that the threat is real, no matter what the evidence shows. But this is overwhelmingly supportive based on the past, and I'm showing it to you. We know what happened these years. We don't know what's going to happen this year. So, we fear what we don't understand. So I don't want to plant fear in people because I want you to understand it. But I want you to be motivated, because if you are fearful, then maybe at least you'll be motivated. Because that is a big motivator, fear, right? And we're going to talk more about this on Monday, but this could have really big implications, and we need to address that. People like me that has a moderate-sized platform in the scheme of things need to be straightforward about it and not sugarcoat stuff, but also not shout and scream at you and have scary thumbnails and everything's the end of the world, because it's not until it is. Until we see that Category 3, 4, or 5, or 20, 30, 40-inch rainmaker headed for your area, we don't have much to fear. But we know that the seeds are there that could be planted into something of a scary forest, right? To use that analogy or metaphor. And we just have to accept it and not just, oh, it'll be okay, and let's don't scare people. Nope, I think we need to look at it from the realistic point of view and make sure we face this head on. All right? All right. Actual sea surface temperatures, we do track that as well. They are warming up quickly. And for those of you along the mid-Atlantic, you're enjoying some cool temperatures there. Farther to the south, a little bit warmer. These will all be well in the range of supporting tropical storms and hurricanes before we know it. Gulf of Mexico already there, 28, 29, 30, 31 Celsius down here, 32 Celsius south of Cuba. Everything's above normal. Everything is ready for a hyperactive hurricane season. And again, my stance this year, let's face that head on. We know it's probably coming, so let's face it. Let's deal with it instead of hide from it, but also not turn it into just a constant negative campaign. You know what I mean? We know the potential is there. Now, let's see what we can do about it. Let's take some action, actionable information. That's what I want to try to give you. All right, so one of the other tools, National Hurricane Center might be the basis of everything, so to speak, but we have a lot of wonderful tools at our disposal from sites like Tropical Tidbits, very popular site from the ever awesome Dr. Levi Cowan, and there's weathermodels.com and Weatherbell and Pivotal Weather, and I'm sure many others that I might have forgotten. But there's a lot of information that we can look at and data tools for recon tracking, satellite analysis tools, and social media where you can sort of scrape through and see what you want to see gathered from other people. It's a pretty wonderful tool if you know how to utilize it. So satellite imagery today, speaking of tools, pretty innocuous overall. Lots of westerly winds and southwesterly winds. I can tell that that's stable air out there just by looking at the satellite imagery. You got your trade winds blowing through here. Maybe some tropical wave energy right there, if I had to guess. Maybe. Probably a tropical wave in here, but nothing concentrating right now. This is a front coming through. This is more mid-latitude shenanigans coming out of the continent. And that is about it for now. It's June. It's June 1st. We're not supposed to see much activity, even when we go back and look at this and say that looking back to 1851, it looks like there's a lot. But when you spread it out year over year, not so much. This time of year, we call that climatology. It is not supposed to be very busy. But we're going to be watching this general area in the month of June. And the models do suggest in the coming weeks that we might have a favorable window coming through. We call that the Madden-Julian oscillation. And in fact, I'll use green because that's typically what color people like Ben Knoll and others use to show a favorable MJO. But it looks like all of this area is going to be favorable later in June. And we'll just have to see, do these pieces of energy come off and take advantage of that? Or will climatology be more of a factor and we have to wait more towards August, September, and October when, believe you me, we could still fit 20 to 25 named storms into those 90 days. I hope not, because that would be a heck of a track race. If we're going to have a busy season, let's at least spread it out and give us some time to breathe. But as of today, not too much to worry about overall. This will come later. I forgot I had that tab there. Another tool that I like to use is our vorticity map here. It's not ours. It's one that we use. I wish it was mine. That'd be cool. I could license it out, just for 5 cents per month or something to the millions of users. It would be good to go. Nope, this is from the University of Wisconsin, their Cooperative Institute for Meteorological Satellite Studies. And this shows me where the energy is trying to bundle down here in the tropics. That's bundling, sort of. That's spread out, but that's all up in the higher latitudes. Don't really worry about that too much. Down here where it counts, nothing at all to speak of. That area of interest in the Eastern Pacific, there it is. That's what it looks like from the vorticity perspective, that bundling of energy, as I like to call it. And yeah, we'll watch it. Not really much is probably going to come of that. By the way, this is what it looks like on satellite imagery right there. Yeah, something's trying to get together, but overall the computer models, the operationals, and the ensembles, not too enthusiastic about it. Speaking of the models, there are a lot. The Euro, the GFS, the Canadian, the NavGem, the hurricane-specific models. There are so many models, this could take hours to explain. So what I like to do is just keep it very, very simple. What do the two best global models, usually they're the best, the GFS and the Euro, say? Air quotes there, right? What do they say? What do they show? And I like to look at the operationals, and then, of course, we can look at the ensembles. The ensembles, in case you're wondering, what's an ensemble? What's that mean? Think of this as the conductor of an orchestra, all right? And let's just think of like John Williams, one of the greats for film scoring, and the conductor is the operational model, whereas the ensemble is the rest of the orchestra. John Williams by himself can play the piano, and he can play E.T. and Raiders of the Lost Ark and Schindler's List and Star Wars and whatever, and it'll sound great. But he needs the rest of the orchestra to give you that full score from Star Wars, right? You know, that beginning, it's fantastic. If you just played it on the piano, it's good. It's still John Williams, but it's not the full orchestra. The ensembles give us the full orchestra. That's the way I like to look at it. And they give us the sort of what-ifs, you know, because each member of a orchestra is different. That's why music sounds the way it does, because there's just those little tweaks that make everybody slightly different from everybody else. Same thing with the models. The operational is the lead, so to speak, and then the ensembles give us the broader picture of the what-if scenarios. So that's my easy way to explain it. Hopefully you understand it. Speaking of that, this is the GFS operational from the 12Z run today, and we go out about a week. We'll look at a week from going forward. I used to just do 5 days, but hey, the Hurricane Center's outlook goes out a week, so we might as well. And over the next week, not much goes on. Just a little bit of an impulse right over here. You can see that. Well, use a color we can see, Mark. Red will show up. Watch right here, and you can see on the operational GFS that we do have a little impulse that tries to get going and head up towards southeastern Mexico at about a week's time. That's still far enough out in time that we'll just have to wait and see. But you notice, too, elsewhere across the basin, really nothing in our area of interest for June. Nothing really pops up over the next week or so. All right, so that's what we'll do. We'll look at these out to about a week's time and see what's going on throughout hurricane season. And the Euro, pretty much the same thing. This is the 0Z run from last night. Sorry. I'm trying to scroll this up. There we go. Also out to 1 week. Not much from the Euro either. You get 3-hour little increments here. I like that. So there's a week right there. So 1 week into June 8th there. Nice high pressure over the Atlantic. Not many impulses down here. Nice and quiet. Look at that. Unsettled in the east. And then a big ridge out west. That's a story for a whole other day. We'll talk about that on Monday. That relates to another project I've got going on. So the models are pretty quiet as we get through the first week of June. All right, a little bit more about me and some informational stuff. And if you already know and you're like, I'm familiar with Mark, you can check out. Nice to see you. Thanks for watching. But for those of you that are new or you might want to refresh yourselves on my deal, well, stay tuned. I have a few more tabs for you. So, in a nutshell, I'm a geographer. My degree is in geography. I studied weather, climate, and hurricanes. That was my forte. But I've since branched out to include all kinds of other high-impact weather, severe thunderstorms, tornadoes, on occasion. Now we're studying hail. And again, I'll talk more about that on Monday. Some of you are already familiar with that. Hail is a very destructive part of severe weather. Denver, I'm looking at you. You know all about it. You saw it just recently, and certainly areas in South Carolina, Charlotte area, in April, big hailstorms. Yeah, nor'easters, lake effect snow, monsoon. Geography covers the people, places, and things on our planet. That's what I study from the weather side of things. So I'm not a degreed meteorologist. I don't have the math that meteorologists do, but I do have the weather and impact side that meteorologists do. So I'm kind of like a PA versus a doctor, if that's a good way to put it. HurricaneTrack, that's our website. We don't do a lot with it because everything's sort of fragmented now with Twitter, and I know it's called something else, but to me it's always Twitter. And YouTube. Those are our two main social media areas of choice. We also take advantage of Patreon. Been doing that since 2016. But yes, the website, the brand is HurricaneTrack. And we do have our supporters that log in right here for Patreon. I'll talk about that more in a second. And we also have our map, as you can see there. Still have a few of these available. If you want a nice, full-size paper tracking map, that's what it looks like with yours truly in front of it. 18 by 24. I designed that myself years ago. And you can get a copy if you want to. I think I've got about 30 or 34 of them left. and only $23 with shipping. That includes the shipping. It's $3 for shipping. It used to be like less than that, but whatever. The envelopes, everything makes it about $3. I was going to send them in tubes. I did that for a few years, but that's so expensive now. It's like $12 for a tube. And then these posters would get to be almost $40. Like, no, not going to do it. Anyway, if you want one of our paper maps, and thanks to all of you that ordered one, you can still get one. All right. Also, if you join our site through Patreon, which we have over here, I should probably have done this. We do have our main method of funding and our community that really supports us with ideas and encouragement and the money that makes everything work. We do that through Patreon. And through Patreon, we have set up a system where you get a login through HurricaneTrack right there. And when you log in, you go to our insider site over here. And from there, you have an access point to the inside part of our world. Literally our community. We have our Discord, which you click on this and it pulls up our Discord server, which is over here. And we have all sorts of channels and we can interact with our community. If you know Discord, boy, it is incredible, isn't it? So that's where everything is. Then we have our different tools here, our interactive map, which is absolutely incredible. We have active tropical cyclone tracking on it when stuff is active. You can change the background. This is my favorite. These are our permanent cameras. This is the one example up here on the Outer Banks of North Carolina. And there's the pier at Rodanthe. And then when things are active and we get a hurricane, we sprinkle these cameras. I'm just going to make stuff up here, 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 here. And these icons pop up and you can actually see right down to street level where we have put our assets, including the weather stations, with hurricane tracking info, those layers right on top of it. Another gentleman created this named Will Woodgate. We got Howard over in Bermuda that made that interactive map for the historic tracks. Will Woodgate over in the UK produced this for us. Another supporter of ours. That's what I mean, folks. We have a community that is absolutely fantastic. All right? So that's part of what we do there on Patreon in case you're interested in becoming a sustaining investor or you just want to see what's happening during hurricane season. We welcome everybody and appreciate your support. The biggest thing you can do, though, is subscribe to the channel. We got to really grow this. I've been on here since '06, and we've been moving the needle pretty good the last 5 or 6 years. But that algorithm, right? All the videos we put out there, me and my back-end team, it's some good stuff. And we are a little surprised that it hasn't grown more. But you can help that. Seriously, I don't beg for subscribers, but if you do subscribe and you notify yourself by the notification button for HurricaneTrack, you'll know when we're live, you'll know when I put these videos up, and you can share our stuff and you can comment. As a subscriber to the channel, we see your comments, and it helps to spread what we're doing. So we are on YouTube. We are very active there, and we certainly appreciate your support by just watching and sharing what we're doing. All right. We also get support from QuickDam, a wonderful company up in Rhode Island that makes incredible flood mitigation products. Hoping to have their CEO and founder, Carol, on with me in the coming weeks to talk about flood kits and the overall flood industry. Amazing people. I've worked with them for almost a year now. They're available at all your big box places. In fact, let's see where to buy. There you go. Yeah, these are not just, they're a little bit available. They're everywhere. And they are doing really, really well. And I'm very proud of them. That's awesome. It's great to be part of a successful partnership. So, hey, if you need something for hurricane season or just regular household accidents, unlike Bob Ross with his happy accidents, when you have a flood accident, there is no happiness about it. And they can really help you out. All right? And Fox Weather, I signed on with them in the 2022 season. And I could not be happier. Just an amazing group of people. Went up there just the other day and met with them, did a piece with Ian Oliver about the Outer Banks and the constant struggles with home ownership out there in the Atlantic. Met with some different executives like I always do, and everybody just treats me so fantastic. I feel like I'm part of a big team, and we are. It's America's weather team, as they call it, and I agree. Their energy level is absolutely amazing. Plus, we got Brian Norcross working with us, and you can't beat that combo. So you'll see my work on Fox Weather as well throughout the season. Sometimes maybe Robert Ray and I, you never know. It's going to be one of those years. We're going to be all so busy. So yeah, catch us on Fox Weather, free to download and watch anytime, all right? And last but certainly not least, one of my favorite places on the internet, and I know these people very well, Storm 2K. Let's move me out of the way so you can see it right there. They're also a partner of ours. Through their crowdfunding, they provide us some crowdfunding, our operation, through Patreon. And it is a wonderful site, the old school message board. If you're looking for a place for more information where people are not going to beat up on you if you ask what you consider to be a dumb question, and there's no dumb questions, just as long as you're not yourself being confrontational or a troll, as they say. But even the trolls, they say, hey, look, stop being a troll. And then like any good parent, if you don't comply, you get put in timeout. But otherwise, everybody's very helpful. They answer questions, and it's a very well-structured place. It's been around a long time, since the early 2000s, and I've been a member since '03. Just a great community. I've gotten to know several people, even some of them in person eventually, through that website, storm2k.org, if you want to. And it's free. You can join them for free and support them through the PayPal. Donate if you want to, of course. You know, crowdfunding, that's what makes a lot of stuff work. Right? Right. All right, now we're back to where we started. Yay. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. I got to say goodbye to you. I don't like talking at you. I like to talk to you. I think that's important. And, of course, we're on Twitter at HurricaneTrack. And I know YouTube now, I think everything's just at HurricaneTrack. That's how you can find us. And we do have a merch store as well. You click on the store thing on the HurricaneTrack.com homepage, wherever that went, whatever. Anyway, we do have a merch page if you want a t-shirt like what I'm wearing. It's just hard to pitch that stuff because I feel like I'm always selling something. And I just want you guys to be ready and educated and follow our journey together. And, you know, if you can support it, great. But, you know, if you're not in the position to, at the very least, watch what we're doing, ask questions, get engaged, and learn. And that's the best we can do, because the more we know, the less fearful it does become. It's absolutely true. The mental side of this, I cannot stress enough. So, you know, watch, learn, and ask questions. That's the best advice I can give you. All right? All right, well, that is it from me for today. Nothing going on, so let's do it again Monday, all right? We'll start everything up in earnest daily, unless I'm busy or traveling. These will happen every day, so we'll do the next one on Monday, all right? From all of us at the Hurricane Track community, we appreciate you tuning in. I'm Mark Sudduth. I'll see you again on Monday.